Welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 battle report here at Slider Games. Today we've got a small game. It's 800 points, and this is kind of maybe a special one, I guess, a unique thing. It's close to the holidays. Holidays are approaching. People are busy, things like that. So I decided to just do a game against myself. So I'm going to be controlling both factions. I'm playing with my Hive Fleet Baraxas, and they're going up against my custom Space Marine chapter, the Star Stalkers. We haven't seen them in a while, so I thought I'd get them out, put them on the battlefield. It might seem kind of strange to play this game against yourself, but I've said it before, it's actually a really good way to get to know your army, to play against yourself. So even if you only have one army, just splitting it in half, playing one half of your Tau army versus the other half of your Tau army, something like that. It's a really good way to practice, exercise, get to know your codex. If you have multiple armies, you can do something like I'm doing where you have one faction play against the other. So definitely a good option there. So we're keeping it simple today since I'm controlling two armies. We're playing an open war mission, take and hold. So there are 5 objectives across the battlefield, and at the end of your command phase you get a point for each one that you control. Whoever has the most points at the end is the winner. And then we've got this kind of pointed long table edge deployment, so there'll be one army across this long edge and then one army here on this edge with that little point towards the center, so we can get in the midst and fight it out. But again, as it is close to the holidays, I hope that you are having a great time of year. I know it can be stressful for a lot of people, so hopefully things are going well and you're having a great time. And when you watch this, hopefully it brings some joy into your life. And whatever you're celebrating, I hope that it's great. And if you're not celebrating anything, I hope you have a great time too. But that being said, let's take a look at these armies. This is exactly 800 points of my custom Space Marine chapter, the Star Stalkers. We are an Iron Hand successor chapter. We use Master Artisans, which lets us reroll a hit every time we fight or shoot. And we also have Bolter Fusillade, so all of our bolter weapons will be rerolling once to hit, which every gun in here except a flamer is a bolter weapon. So rerolling ones for pretty much everything. In charge today we have Captain Rolg, our Terminator captain. He's got a Storm Bolter and a Power Sword, using Imperium's Sword as his Warlord trait, so he can reroll charges, gets +1 to his strength and attack characteristic when he does charge. Then next to him is Lieutenant Simon with a Storm Bolter and the Teeth of Terra Chainsword Relic, so that'll boost that up and make it pretty sweet. Then we've got 4 tactical squads here. So on the left, we have a squad with a Power Fist on the Sergeant. Next squad is Flamer, Combi Flamer with a Chainsword on the Sergeant. Back here in the back is just a standard squad with a Chainsword Sergeant, and then up front here we do have a Heavy Bolter, and again Chainswords on the Sergeants, unless they have a Power Fist. And then behind them we have a Bike Squad, 5 bikers. There's a Power Axe on the Sergeant, and then Chainswords on the other guys, and then finally a Rhino to move people around the board. So the idea with this is a lot of infantry, a lot of stuff on foot, small stuff. I guess bikes aren't really infantry, but a bigger footprint, I guess, than what you'll see with the Tyranids, and some mobility there with the Rhino and the bikes. So they're going to move around the board trying to hold as many objectives as they can with not much in the way of heavy firepower. But let's see how that compares to the Tyranids. This is exactly 800 points of my custom Hive Fleet Baraxas. We are a splinter of Hive Fleet Kraken, so we get an additional -1 AP when we charge, and we swapped out their secondary trait for Augmented Ferocity, which gives them a +1 to their charge rolls. In charge is our Neurothrop. He is the Warlord today with Direct Guidance as his Warlord trait, so he can select a core unit and they get +1 to hit for the turn. Next to him is our Broodlord. He's got a relic, the Ymgarl Factor. He can use that to buff his strength, toughness, or attacks in combat. Then behind them, our 3 troops choices are a squad of warriors with dual bone swords, death spitters, and a venom cannon. Next to them, similar group, just no venom cannon. And then finally, some scything talons and devourers on this squad here. They also have toxin sacks, so they'll auto wound on 6s in combat. Behind them, we've got 5 gene stealers, just basically filling out some points for us. And then finally the Tyrannifex with an acid spray. It's also got Dermic Symbiosis, so a 4-up invulnerable, which may not actually even come into play because the Space Marines don't have a lot of high AP stuff. So yeah, the Tyrannifex will be interesting to see how the Space Marines can handle it with basically only bolters. But the Space Marines do have the advantage in the footprint area. So 3 squads of 3 troops over here versus 4 squads of 5 troops for the Space Marines. So we'll see how that plays out, which tactic will win the day. Let's take a look at deployment. The armies are deployed here across this small battlefield. The Space Marines, the Star Stalkers, are the attackers. I imagine this is, they're closing in. They've backed this small group of Tyranids up against this rocky cliff face here, and they mean to finish them off. However, there is a large Tyranifex and a Neurothrope there in the center looking to press back against the Space Marines and their offensive. Pretty much, this is going to be a bloodbath. I think it's going to be pretty short as both armies are super close together. And yeah, they're going to both want to be short range in each other's face, slaughtering each other. So should be bloody and exciting. We do have the Venom Cannon warriors down here near this objective, so they can kind of stand up on this platform, get some firing lines. The Genestealers are forward deployed maybe 1.5 inches or so, so not very far, but a little bit ahead with some cover to protect them from shooting from this side of the battlefield with their Broodlord Overlord watching over them. The Scything Talon warriors are with the Neurothrope and the Tyranifex in the middle, and then the other Dual Bone Sword squad is right out there in the middle, looking to hold on to that objective kind of in no man's land. And then both armies centered up here to get on this middle objective. Space Marines, the Heavy Bolter squad's back here on this home objective. In the Rhino, we have the Power Fist Tactical Squad and both Captain Rolg and Lieutenant Simon. Then we have the Flamer Combi Flamer squad here. The bikes, so they can kind of sweep across. The idea with them is press. If we can take this squad out and kind of collapse the Tyranids into this one corner. That's the plan. Hopefully the characters and 2 tactical squads can hold the center long enough for that to pay off. And then the squad with no special upgrades other than just a chainsword on the sergeant is down here for this other objective, looking to just camp it and score points. So that is what we've got set up here for this battle. Yeah, pretty simple. Everything's on the board, nothing in reserve for either army. So it's just going to be in your face from turn 1, seeing who can win out in this game. So let's roll off, see who goes first. We'll start with the Space Marines, see what they get. A 5. And the Tyranids also get a 5. Space Marines get a 6. Tyranids, I want to re-roll that one. A 5. Okay, so Space Marines are going to go first. So let's move on to battle round 1. The Star Stalkers have completed their movement. These guys in the back kind of stayed still. They did shuffle in to get a little bit closer, better cover. The bike squad moved up onto this objective looking to shoot and possibly charge it between these 2 units. They're looking to take this squad of warriors out. In the center, everybody got out of the Rhino and moved forward. So Power Fist squad, Captain Rolg and Lieutenant Simon all shifting up. The Flamer Combi Flamer squad also moved up into position to flame into that unit up ahead of them. The Heavy Bolter squad jumped up on top of this rock to get a better field of fire and hold that objective. And then I advanced the Rhino just as kind of a move block, roll to 4, so 16 inches, moving up here to kind of just block off this line so the Genestealers have a harder time getting into my backfield or over there to my center. So that is the plan. I will say the Tyranids did select Goaded to Slaughter for their Synaptic Imperative, so any combat that occurs this battle round, they're going to have exploding 6s. So that could be pretty dangerous for anybody looking to charge for the Space Marines. But let's get on to the shooting phase. Starting it off over here with the Heavy Bolter squad, everything is going into the warriors in the backfield. I was thinking about firing the small arms into the Genestealers, but these 2 guys on the end actually can't see them behind the Rhino and that tree. So they're going to blast into the warriors. We're going to start with the Heavy Bolter. Let's see. Rerolling 1s for Bolter Discipline and rerolling a hit or wound for Master Artisan. So they all hit. Strength 5, T5, so 4s. Ooh, all 4 wound, or all 3 wound. That's pretty good. So these are -2 because of the Devastator Doctrine. So these are 6 up saves, down to 5 because they're into cover. So that kills one and wounds another. Nice shooting there. And then we'll go ahead and fire the 4 bolters in. Rerolling 1s. Oh, they all hit. These are 5s to wound. So no wounds from them. All right, so we kill a warrior and wound another one. Swinging over here to the other flank, the bikes are going to fire everything into this squad right in front of them. Since they are bikes, they're always rapid fire, so this is 20 shots, hitting on 3s. Let's see what we got. After rerolls, we got 13 hits. Now we need 5s to wound. This is the tough part. I dropped the die, so we'll just roll that again. That's really good. What is that? 6. Okay, nice. So we'll get these out of the way, and then I'll roll 6 4-up saves. And we pass 3, so they do actually kill one of the warriors. Did a little bit more shooting off camera. This squad down here fired in, no damage to the Tyranids. Over here, the warriors. Then we went over here in the center. This squad with the Power Fist fired in, killed one, actually. I actually spent a command point to try to save it, just so that the next unit couldn't target the Neurothrope. But I failed on the reroll as well. So 1 warrior down. But the Flamer squad, they're going to shoot into the warriors as well. We're going to start with their 2 Flamers. So we get 2d6 auto hits for 9. That's pretty good, pretty good. Grabbing some dice here. And these will wound on 5s. That is only 1 wound. Let's just do a 4-up save. Passed. And then we'll have 6 shots from the bolters. 2 are in rapid fire, which includes the sergeant, but he'll hit on 4s because he's firing both halves of his combi. So 1 hit from him, and then 4 more shots. They all hit. Should have used my master crafted, or my master artisans. Okay, but that's 5 on 5s. Ooh, and that is 3 wounds. I should have remembered I can reroll wound rolls of 1. I might have been able to reroll some of the Flamer wounds, but that's okay. So 3 of them. These are 4 ups for the warriors. And they make them all. Okay, so no more damage to the warriors. We've got Rolg and Simon left to shoot. Let's just go ahead. Rolg's going to Storm Bolter them as well, the warriors. Hitting on 2s. Wounding on 5s. 1 wound. 4-up save, passed it, and then Simon. And then Simon with his Stormbolter as well. Reroll 1. And 5s. Nothing. We have concluded the shooting, so we're going to move to the charge phase. I will note the 2 2s did hit for Lieutenant Simon. I don't know what I was thinking. But I went ahead and rolled them. They did not wound off camera, so no more damage done. So now we're going to charge. This whole blob that got out of the Rhino is going in. The Tactical Marines need a 6. Simon and Rolg both need 9s. We'll start with the Tacticals. They need a 6. A bigger one would help so that I can get them out of the way. 11. That's very good. Okay, so they're definitely in, and there'll be plenty of room for Simon and Rolg to get through there. So let's go ahead and do Simon next. He needs a 9. That is an 8. I'll go ahead and reroll that. Okay, he fails. And then Captain Rolg with the Imperium Sword does get a free reroll on this. He needs a 9. Fail. And reroll. Also a fail. Okay, so just the Tactical Marines, Rolg and Simon are both vulnerable. And then we'll also charge with the bikes over here. They can't fail, but let's see how far they can go. They got a 6. Okay, so 2 charges made against some warriors. We are going to start combat here with the bikes. And we'll go with the sergeant first with his power axe. Hitting on 3s, he gets 3 attacks, 2 plus 1 for charging. And we'll reroll that with our master artisans. Okay, so they all hit. So these are strength 6 plus 2 strength with the power axe. So these will wound on 3s. Okay, we'll let that go. It's AP -2, so a 6-up save. Fail. So 1 takes a wound. And then we have 12 attacks from the others with their chain swords. So they have base 1, +1 for a chain sword, and then +1 for charging. Hitting on 3s. Let's see what we got. We got 10 hits in. These are still only strength 4 though, so wounding on 5s. 2, looks like we got 3 wounds through. There's one on 2 wounds left, so 5 up saves, AP -1. Okay, so they kill the wounded one and damage another. We have piled in and tagged the Neurothrip with these guys. I really strongly considered paying to interrupt with the 2 warriors, but for 2 CP, I'm not sure it's worth it to get 5 attacks, so 10 attacks total. Hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, but with Armor of Contempt, there's no AP. 3 up saves, I might kill 1 Tactical Marine with their 2 wounds, so I'm going to let it go here. So we're going to let this Power Fist swing. And it hits once. We will spend our Master Artisans. Okay, 2 hits. Wounding on 3s. 1 wound, and since Simon didn't make it in, that one is not rerollable. So 2 damage through on 1 of the warriors with the Power Fist. No save as it's AP -3, and then we'll do our regular attacks with the Tactical Marines. Hitting on 3s. We've spent our reroll. Some good rolling. And then we'll need that here because they're wounding on 5s. Well, that was good. 4 wounds. No AP, so 4 4-ups. There is one on 1 wound. So it dies, and the other one's down to 2 wounds left. So there are 2 2-wound warriors left and a Neurothrop to fight back. Down here with the dual bone sword warrior, he's hitting on 3 6s to explode. There's a 6, so we get 4 hits. And then 3s to wound, strength 7 with his bone swords. So that is 3 wounds at AP -2, which becomes AP -1, so 3 4-ups. Ooh, they failed them all. That's 2 wounds each. We did both of the fightbacks here, the warrior and the Neurothrop. No damage done to the Tactical Marines. And down here we have 4 bikes left, 1 with a wound remaining. But that is the conclusion of the Space Marine turn. They are on 4 objectives. They don't actually hold this one because he is objective secured. So they're currently controlling 3, very close to getting a 4th. And just as the plan was, they wanted to sweep in. It would have been great if they could have cleared this because he can do some damage in his turn. So yeah, it's going to be interesting here to see if the Tyranids can push out of this corner they've been pressed into. Tyranid movement is complete. The warriors down here jumped up. Well, the Venom Cannon jumped up onto the rock. The other one swung around down low. They did get direct guidance from the Neurothrop through Synaptic Link range, so they're going to be +1 to hit this turn as they shoot. Otherwise, the Gene Stealer shifted this way, so I left the Neurothrop in combat, and then I decided I might as well just leave the warrior in too, so he can still cast his psychic powers. I thought about pulling him back and shooting that squad with the acid spray, but I think the Gene Stealers with exploding 6s can do some work there and prevent any damage to the Neurothrop that way. That also frees up the acid spray to come down into this squad in the center. I advanced the Broodlord. He has Onslaught, so we're going to try to get him to be able to charge after advancing. And the idea will be with the Neurothrop, I'm going to smite into combat and then put Catalyst on the Broodlord to keep him safe against these 2 enemy characters. Down here, I also decided to stay in combat. I was really waffling on it. I could fall back because most likely he'll die to these guys on the Tyranid turn, but they haven't charged this turn, so they don't get those extra attacks. So maybe there's a chance he can live and prevent them from scoring that objective on the next turn. So that's kind of the idea there, is he wants to stay alive just to prevent the Space Marines from scoring that objective. But that's the plan. The Gene Stealer is going into this squad to take them out. Acid Spray into the Flamer squad. Broodlord taking out one of the characters, hopefully. And then these guys shooting in maybe down here to a character or possibly back here to this squad. We'll see how it goes. Let's go to the Psychic, though. We need Onslaught for sure. So let's see if we get it. That is a fail. I'm going to command point that. Okay, that passes. I'm going to spend a CP for, I can't think of the name of the stratagem. It's an Iron Hand stratagem. On a 4-up, we deny a psychic power. So if we can stop him from charging And we do. Okay, so Onslaught is denied. So the Broodlord will not charge. So let's go to the Neurothrop. We're going to try to Catalyst him. Needs a 5 for +1. Okay, just got it. So there is Catalyst on the Broodlord at least. And then Smite needs a 4. And that is a pass with a 9 for D3. For 2 mortal wounds, it will kill a tactical marine in there. We're going to start the shooting down here. I was debating whether to fire into Lieutenant Simon, but we're going to try to take out the scoring options for the Space Marines. So firing Venom Cannon, everything from this squad into these guys. So Venom Cannon is D3 shots for 3 shots. And these will hit on 2s because of direct guidance. And he still misses one. And these will wound on 2s. So 2 wounds at AP, what would be -3? So -2. So 2 5-ups or dead Marines. And they save 1. So 1 Marine goes down. And then 3 shots with the Death Spitter. They do hit on 2s because of direct guidance. And these are wound on 3s. 1 wound becomes AP -1, which is a pass. Okay, so it took out 1. Next, we are going with the turn effects. I already fired his Stinger Salvo into this squad down here, did 1 damage. But his Acid Spray is going into the Flamer Combi Flamer squad. So this is D6 +6 for 8 attacks, or 8 auto wounds, or auto hits, geez. And these are Strength 6, so 3s to wound. Dropped 1. Okay, that's good. 6 wounds at AP -3, which becomes AP -2. We'll start, they're 2 damage each, so we'll start with this guy who is in cover. So he will have a 3-up save, which goes to a 5. He's in cover, so 4-up. He's alive. He's dead. Next guy in cover. Alive. Alive. Dead. And then there's 1 left. We're going to take it on the guy out of cover, so this is a 5-up. Okay, so he dies too. 3 of them go down. That does conclude the shooting for the Tyranids. We do have a charge with the Gene Sealers going in. They can't fail. It's a 2-inch charge into the Space Marines here. If they get something huge, I might be able to bring the Tyrannifex in as well, but otherwise he won't have actually space to get in. So let's see how far the Gene Sealers can go. And they go too. They don't fail, but yeah, the Tyrannifex definitely is not going in. Even with the Snake Eyes, they did all manage to make it into engagement range after piling in. So it is 20 attacks, hitting on 3s, 6s are exploding for Goaded to Slaughter. Ooh, only a couple 6s. Even with only 2 6s, that's 18 hits, 3s to wound. Ooh, that's not looking good for the Space Marines. That was 16 wounds. I did spend a command point on Reject the Flesh, Embrace the Machine, so they do have a 5-up Feel No Pain to these, but we do have 6-up saves to make first, so they're, the Gene Sealers are normally -3 AP in combat, goes to -4 since they charged as a Kraken trait, which then gets reduced back to 3 because of Armor of Contempt, so these are 16 6-up saves. Ooh, which we only save 1 of. And then these are 1 damage each, so I can roll them all at once. 5-up. Need a lot of 5s here. Ooh, that's not too bad. Okay. Alright, so 1, 2, 3. Still take the squad. Ooh, good try, Marines, good try. And now we have the fight back with the bikers into the warrior. We'll start with their sergeant, hitting on 3s with his power axe. They both hit. Wound on 3s. They do not wound. I don't think it's worth spending a CP. So we'll go to the chain swords. 2 attacks each, hitting on 3s. Reroll 1 of those with Master Artisans. So 5. Wounding on 5s. Ooh, that was good. 3 wounds. AP -1, so 5-ups. Gotta make 2 5s here. Oh. I want to reroll this because if he survives, that denies the Space Marines a point. And if you can score, prevent somebody from scoring, got it. Okay, so he's alive on 1 wound. And since he survived, he gets to fight back. So on 3s, 3 hits, wounding on 3s, 2 wounds, at AP -1 because of Armor of Contempt, so 4 ups. They save. Okay, so no bikes die. He survives, which will deny the Space Marines a point. And that does conclude the Tyranids' first turn. So yeah, with his survival, Space Marines will not score here. Broodlord unfortunately couldn't do anything because of Souls of Iron, the stratagem they spent to deny his onslaught psychic power. The Genestealers did not consolidate. They're staying close to keep the Neurothreat protected a little bit better. But let's go on to Space Marines Battle Round 2. We are at the end of the movement phase for the Space Marines. One of the Tyranids have Predatory Guile from their Broodlord, so everybody gets the benefits of light cover. Then we also scored 3 points for the Star Stalkers. 1 here, 2, and 3 in that back corner. So the plan here, pretty simple movement for the Star Stalkers. Rhino shifted forward. If we can kill those 2 warriors, he will control that objective. These guys stayed still. In the center, we had some movement up into the center. The Flamer, Combi Flamer, they did pass their morale check. They shifted forward closer to the objective. Captain Rog shifted up, meaning to take out some Genestealers, and Lieutenant Simon is stepping up into the Broodlord. Rog could go into the Broodlord as well if we can get rid of some of these Genestealers with shooting. Over here, I spent a command point on hit and run warfare with the bike, so they fell out of combat. They can still shoot. They will not be able to charge, however. And then these guys stayed still as well. So hopefully, since they're going to get their full rapid fire since they didn't move, they can take out this warrior. The bikes can shoot into the Genestealers. And then maybe, if we need to, the Flamers or Rog and Simon can finish off the Genestealers to free up some better charge targets. But that's the plan. Yeah, and then over here, these guys and the Rhino shoot these 2 warriors. And then, yeah, that'll be it. If we can do that, we will have reduced most of the Tyranid threats to nothing. So, bad news for the Space Marines. I did fire in with these guys. They hit with everything, but I only got 1 wound. He failed his save, which would have killed him, but I did spend a CP again, because now they'll have to divert another thing to shoot him, and did make that save. So yeah, so a whole other unit has to shoot him. So, Rolg, glancing over this rock, is going to fire in, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s. They all hit. Wounding on 5s. Can the captain do it? Okay, so 2 wounds. They are AP -1 because we're Tactical Doctrine, but with the Broodlord Synaptic Imperative, it puts him back to a 4. And he does fail, and I've already spent my CP. So he is dead, so he has been removed. Let's go on to see what's next. Since Rolg made that heroic shot and took out the warrior, the bikes are going to fire into the Genestealers. 16 shots, hitting on 3s. Rerolling 1s, there are no 1s. They'll reroll one of these 2s with Master Artisans. Okay, cool. That was 14 hits, and these will be 4s to wound. Ooh, not quite as good. Oops, moving all the terrain. Taking out a couple more. Okay, so only 6. These will be at their 5 up. They would go to 4 for the Broodlord Synaptic Imperative, but they're AP -1 for Tactical Doctrine. So back to 5s. Ooh, wow. They take out the whole squad. So the Genestealers are dead. With the Genestealers falling, we're going to go for the glory here with the Space Marines. The Flamer squad shooting everything into the Neurothreat. We'll go ahead and start with the 2 shots from our sergeant there with his combi. We'll reroll that for bolter weapon. Okay, they both hit, so that's 2 hits. And then we will roll 2d6 for only 5. Yeah, we're going to have to take it. So it's going to be 7 total. These will all wound on 5s. And we got no wounds. Okay, well, we can reroll 1. Okay, still no wounds. Unfortunately. Okay, so the flamers whiffed. The flames lurched out, and the Neurothrope, with its psychic shielding, survived the flames. Okay, let's go ahead. We'll shoot Simon. We'll shoot into the Broodlord, hitting on 2s, wounding on 5s. Drop the dice. So you got 2 wounds through. 4-up save. Passed them both, double 6s. And then, yeah, that's it. We'll go over here and see what these guys can do to the warriors. I went ahead and fired in the regular bolters from these guys, and they did actually take out the wounded warrior. So we've got the heavy bolter, 3 shots, hitting on 3s. We're rolling 1s for bolter discipline. And then these will wound on 4s. They all wound. AP -1. He's got the benefits of light cover, so 3, 4 ups. If he fails 2, he dies. He fails 1. Okay, so he is alive on 1 wound. So let's just go ahead, fire our Storm Bolter in right there from the Rhino. Hitting on 3s. Reroll 1 with Master Artisans. Wounding on 5s. 2 wounds. 2 4-ups. They kill the final warrior. So with that, the footprint, the Tyranids are literally down to 4 models after that shooting. So let's see what our characters can do in combat. We are in combat. Both Simon and Raul could not fail their charges. They both went into the Broodlord. As a Space Marine, I have to start with Simon first because the Tyranids have 2 CP, so they could interrupt. The Broodlord could easily kill Simon, who does not have an invulnerable save, whereas Raul does, so he has a better chance of surviving if they do interrupt. But the Broodlord also, with Yumgarl factor, took the boost to his toughness, so he's toughness 6. So even with the Teeth of Terra, Simon's going to be wounding him on 5s. But he does hit on 2s, so we'll do that, and he'll use Master Artisans to reroll this. Okay, so they all hit. So 5s to wound, though. And he only got 2, and these will be 4-up invulnerable saves. So he saves 1. 2 damage, but he's got 2 5-up catalyst saves. He takes no damage from Simon. As a Tyranid, I'm not going to pay to interrupt because I think he can now survive, definitely survive Raul's attack. So yeah, let's see what Raul can do. With Imperium Sword, Raul will have 6 attacks. It'll be at strength 6, so he will wound on 4s. First we got to hit on 2s. Master Artisans. Now I need 4s. And that is 4 wounds at AP -3, which doesn't matter because of invulnerable save. So 4-up invulnerables. Fails 2, which means 2 5-ups. He takes 1 damage from Raul and Simon both slamming into him, hacking and slashing away. The Broodlord only takes 1 wound. Now it's his turn to fight back. We've got 6 attacks from the Broodlord. He's actually going to go... Maybe I shouldn't do this, but he's going to split him 3 and 3. He could kill both characters with this. It's unlikely that he'll kill Raw with his 4-up invulnerable save, but we're going to go for it. So first we're going to go into Simon. 3 attacks hitting on 2s. They all hit. They wound on 3s. He rerolls all his wounds. That's what Broodlords do. Okay, 2 wounds at AP -3, which becomes AP -2. So these are 5-ups. A 5 saves him, otherwise death. He goes down 2 CP left. Yes. And he survives on 2 wounds. Okay. Broodlord into... You can hear my oven going off cooking pizza. Into Simon. Into Raul. They all hit. And then 3s again. So they all wound, so 3 4-ups. He's down to 2 wounds. 2 wounds on both of the characters, so no one dies in this combat. And this is the Tyranid's footprint. So they have 4 models. Broodlord stayed in combat. The Warrior and the Neurothrope moved up, and the Tyranid effect shifted over. So the idea here is We got to basically wipe out the Space Marines so we can start scoring points here in the center. So hopefully we can smite both characters out. If we can do that, that would free up the Broodlord to actually charge over here and take these guys out if the warrior can't shoot them to death. The Tyranid is going to try to take out the bikes with the acid spray. If we can do that, that will leave the Space Marines with just 2 tactical squads and a Rhino. And the Tyranids could start scoring points from there. It would be very close, and it's going to be very difficult because with only 4 models max, we could score 4 points with the Tyranids, and with both tactical squads alive, the warrior with 2 wounds is certainly not long for this world, which means 3 objectives we could possibly hold. Yeah, it's going to be dicey, but we'll see what happens here as we go into the psychic phase. We're going to kick it off with the Broodlord smiting Simon. Needs a 5. That is a 5. The Space Marines have 1 command point left. They're going to do Souls of Iron again on a 4-up, and they deny the smite from the Broodlord. Okay, so that will slow the Tyranids down again. The Neurothrop will smite. He needs a 5. That goes off. He gets +1 to his cast. That's 11. It's actually a super smite into Rolg. So anything but a 1. Okay, so Rolg goes down. And then we will put... Yeah, we're going to Catalyst the Broodlord again. That fails. Okay, not going to spend a command point on that. So Broodlord is... Yeah, didn't get cast, so we took out Rolg. That's it for the psychic phase. We have come to our last gun for the Tyranids. The warrior fired into these 2 tactical marines. Nothing happened. Stinger Salvo from the Tyranid took out the wounded bike and put another one down to 2 wounds. So now he's going to go in D6 +6 with the acid spray for 9 shots. That's pretty good. Need to get 1 more. Okay. And these will wound on 3s. Okay, that's really good. So these are going to be -1, so 4 ups. Ooh, so let's see here. These are actually 5 ups because it's AP -3. So these are all fails. So that kills the first one, the next one, and the next one. So the squad has been wiped out. Shooting is over, so we're going to charge phase. The warrior is going to charge into these 2 guys. The Space Marines don't have any CP left to overwatch, so he needs only 4. That'll get him in with his +1. Okay, so he is in. So he will get to fight them, and then Simon will fight back against the Broodlord. The warrior's in. He gets 5 attacks. He'll hit on 2s because of his direct guidance from the Neurothrop. Okay, those all hit. We do not have exploding 6s right now, but they wound on 3s, and they are AP -2, which becomes AP -1. So these are 4 ups. And he kills 1.5 Space Marines. Now defenders fight, so we're going with Simon and his Teeth of Terra. He will only have 6 attacks because there's no charge this time. And the Broodlord is taking the boost to his strength again, so these will wound on 5s. Hitting on 2s, rerolling 1 with Master Artisans, wounding on 5s. 2 wounds, 4-up save, and no catalyst this time. So 2 damage, down to 4 wounds on the Broodlord, who will strike back with 6 attacks into our pal here, wounding on 3s. He rerolls all wounds, that's what Broodlords do. So 5 at AP -3 becomes AP -2. So 5 ups. Just has to make all of them? Okay, Simon goes down. Finally, our sergeant there will swing at the warrior. He does get 4 attacks since he was charged. Hits on 3s, we'll reroll that with Master Artisans. And then wounding on 5s. Only 1 wound, so he can't kill him. It is -1 AP. He does get dense cover because of the Broodlord Synaptic Imperative, so 4 up. That's very cocked. Okay, saves it. So The Tyranids will contest this at the start of the Space Marine turn, so the Space Marines will not score that since there is... Actually, they'll hold it, I'm sorry, because they're even +1. But either way, the Space Marines will not score that since that warrior survived. But that is the end of Battle Round 2. The score is 3-0 currently in favor of the Space Marines. Tyranids only have 4 models, but the Space Marines now have also been pretty crippled in the center of the battlefield. So let's see what happens in Battle Round 3. Movement is over for the Space Marines, and literally the only thing that moved, the guy here in the middle did fall out of combat. We want to be able to shoot and kill that warrior. Yeah, they do score 3 points for the Space Marines. 1, 2, 3, making it 6-0. It's going to be tough for the Tyranids to come back, but if the Tyranids can kill... I mean, if they can take out 2 squads in this next turn, which they'll have a chance with the Tyranid over here, supposing he can't die. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But first, we're going to start with some shooting. These guys right here, they're all firing into the warrior. See if we can take them out. 10 shots since they didn't move. Still in Tactical Doctrine. Hitting on 3s. Rerolling 1s for Bolter Discipline, and we'll reroll this 2 with Master Artisans. It's pretty good. 8 hits. Wounding on 5s, though. This is the hard part. So we got 2 wounds at AP -1, +1 there. We did take the Neurothrope Synaptic Imperative. Basically, they get +1 to Psychic Tests. It was the last one I could take. So we got 2 4-ups. And he does not survive. Again, we've got 2 CP left. We're going to try to save one of those. Okay, so he's alive on 1 wound. With the warrior surviving, we're going to shift over to the Rhino. It's going to fire its Stormbolter into him. Hitting on 3s, rerolling. That's cocked. We'll reroll that first. Okay, so that hits. We'll reroll these for Bolter Discipline, this for Master Artisans. Okay, so we got 3 hits, 5s. That is no wounds. Okay, and then let's see. Yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're going to fire the 6 bolters into the, or the 6 shots from the 3 bolters into the warrior, and then the 3 shots from the, yeah, the heavy bolter into the Broodlord. Let's actually start. I think it's more important to get the warriors. Let's shoot these first. Hitting on 3s, they all hit. That's good. Rerolling that with Bolter Discipline. 5s. Oh, that was better. That's 4 4-ups. Ooh, just got him. Okay, so the warrior's dead. That's good news for the Marines. And then we got 3 heavy bolter shots coming in at the Broodlord. We'll reroll that with Master Artisans. They all hit. Strength 5, so 2 wounds, 2 4-up saves. If he fails both of these, he dies, actually. And he failed them both. And I've spent my CP to reroll a save on the warrior, so the Broodlord is dead. Things are not looking good for the Tyranids, but we're going to play this turn out and just see what happens. Right now it's 6-0. Tyranids did not score any points. The Tyranid was not in range of that objective in the command phase. So what we've got, the Neurothrope moved up to get onto this objective. He can smite this guy off of there. Then the Tyranid can acid spray these guys, hopefully, and wipe them out. He does have a 10-inch charge available, should they survive the acid spray. But if we can remove both of these squads, the next turn it would be 8-0. And the Tyranids can't actually come back. But we're going to see how much damage they can do here. So let's go to Psychic, and we'll smite. Okay, well, we have a 5-up Feel No Pain to Mortal Wounds because of our Synaptic Imperative. So how many mortal wounds does he do to himself? 1, okay, on a 5-up. Okay, so he takes 1 wound, but that guy is dead. He will Catalyst himself, which goes off. So now he's got a 5-up Feel No Pain. Okay, and then moving right along, we'll pull this guy out of here because he's dead. Let's go to our shooting. We're going to fire everything from the Tyranid into these guys. So D6 plus 6, so 9 shots from the acid spray. And these will wound on 3s. And that is 5. I've got 1 CP left. Yeah, we'll reroll one of those. Okay. So that is 6 at -3, which becomes -2, which becomes -1 because of the cover and Armor of Contempt. So 4 ups. And 3 of the Marines go down. So there are only 2 Marines left. The last hurrah of the Tyranids. We have a 10-inch charge into the last 2 Marines. No CP to reroll for the Hive Mind. Ooh, he just missed it. Okay, so with the failed charge, next turn, well, let's see. They could fail a morale if they roll a 6. They do not. Okay, so insane bravery there. So it will go to 9 points. 1, 2, 3, 9 points for the Space Marines, 0 points for the Tyranids after 3 battle rounds. Literally nothing the Tyranids could do. They could only score 6 total points. So it is over. This is the end. The Space Marines moved in. This was the last cluster of Tyranids maybe on this battlefield or maybe even this planet. And they pressed them up against this rocky area where there was nowhere for them to escape. And they whittled them down. The Rog and Simon both taken away as casualties, but they will live to fight another day as the Space Marines finish off this group of monsters of Hive Fleet Baraxas. But yeah, thanks again for watching. I really love doing this, and I'm glad that people seem to be enjoying it. So that's great. Makes me feel good. Hopefully you are enjoying it. And if you are, please subscribe, like, comment on the videos, all those things that help that YouTube algorithm so more people can see the content, and we can grow and, keep having fun. That's what I like to do. So yeah, thanks again for watching this kind of weird holiday special where I play against myself. Again, I will say this is actually a really good exercise for you if, especially, it's wintertime, snow. If you're in a place like that, like around here, snow is definitely a thing, and there's a big storm coming over the holiday weekend. So if you're at home alone and you want to get better with your armies, play against yourself, whether it's your one army, half of it versus the other half, or if you have multiple armies like I do, have 2 armies face off. It's definitely a good way to exercise, practice the army, think about, strategies, and it's good because you can think about how to counter those strategies as well, since obviously you're controlling both armies. Some things to think about too with this list. I made these kind of different lists. I had, multiple bodies with the Space Marines, no heavy weapons whatsoever. I mean, we have a heavy bolter, and that's our biggest gun in the whole army. And I brought a big, juicy, tanky target. And this is a good lesson just in general. Here's a Slider Games Warhammer tip. I'm not an expert by any means, but shoot what you can kill, If I would have shot this with bolters for 3 battle rounds, I probably wouldn't have killed it. And maybe if I did, there'd be warriors, gene stealers, all that other stuff still around. So play to the strength of your army. The strength of the Space Marines was outnumbering the Tyranids. So whittle down the options the Tyranids had for numbers so that you're strengthening your advantage. And, let this thing run around. You're not going to kill it anyway, so there's no point shooting it. Just let it run around, killing stuff. It didn't take out any total unit. It took 3 out of this unit. It took 3 out of the tactical unit up here as well. So, it is definitely a mean target, but play to your strengths. So that's my holiday gift to you. But yeah, thanks again for watching. Again, like, subscribe, all those great things. Hopefully you're enjoying the content because I'm enjoying making it. And as always, have fun.